Okay, let's move on to the Week 8 recap in the NFL. Um, I'll be honest. I think I think it was a good week for most people betting. Unless you're a sharp dog better. And I know there's a lot of sharp dog bettors out there. But the NFL this week, favorites went 10-2 against the spread. Overs went 9-1-2. I mean, just absolutely remarkable. Um, so favorites now are hitting at over, almost, excuse me. Of course, we have the Chiefs pending on Monday Night Football. But favorites are hitting at almost 55% this year. And since the start of last season, this is ATS. ATS favorites, 55% this year. 54% since the start of last season. Unbelievable. If the Chiefs win tonight, it would be the best win percentage for favorites in a single week in the last 40 years. And I think I've reached that point in this NFL where I kind of know that we're in a weird time. And what do I mean by that? We're in a time where I think everything that you think you know about being a sharp gambler, and I know this isn't a gambling show, but I think it frames the conversation very well. So when I was growing up and I was first getting into gambling, I had some friends, most notably an older cousin and a couple of close friends who were really into the betting world. And every single week, they would give me their picks and they would tell me, this is the sharp side, right? Like, this is who the pros are betting on. And I would kind of learn through that lens where I would always try to be on the sharp side. I would always try to be on the sportsbook side. Most of the time, that would be underdogs. Then 2019 happened, and I started to do this for a job. And I started to talk gambling every day on radio and on TV, and I had to sound smart. So I adopted that mindset because to me, it sounded a lot more credible if I was talking about it from the market perspective and the sportsbook perspective more than just, I think this team's going to win, so let's bet this. And that worked for a while. It really did. And I think over the last year, maybe 2 years now, based on what the numbers are telling us, something shifted. Maybe the public has become a little bit more educated with gambling. The information's out there more. Totally fair. I don't think that's the reason why this is happening. I think the reason why favorites have been performing so well over the last 2 years is the death of ugly dogs. What do I mean by that? Not real ugly dogs. Jackpot's a beautiful dog, and he's still alive. The death of the sharp underdog. I honestly believe that they're dead, or they're dying. The reason why they're dying is because the gap between the good teams and the bad teams is getting wider. More specifically, the gap between the good quarterbacks and the bad quarterbacks is getting wider. When I watch the NFL, actually, let's start with this. When I watch college football, the one thing I notice is everything is very paint by numbers. There are very few quarterbacks in college football that are now being taught to play quarterback in the NFL. The best quarterbacks in college football, besides Ty Simpson and maybe Fernando Mendoza, but I haven't watched the film deeply on him enough yet to make that distinction. But Ty Simpson I have. But let's take Marcel Reed, for example. Marcel Reed is a Heisman candidate this year. He looks like one of the best quarterbacks in college football. He's not asked to do a whole lot in terms of reading the field. Colin Klein puts him in a very good situation. It's very RPO, run heavy, one side of the field, pull, throw. If it's not there, run. There are very few quarterbacks in college football today because of the evolution of the mobile quarterback that are being asked to do NFL quarterback things. The problem with mobile quarterbacks in the NFL, A, they get hurt, B, everyone's so fast, they're not as effective. And I think what you're seeing is a lack of development of the quarterback position. And it started about 10 years ago. right? 15 years ago. Actually, it really started with Michael Vick, but there was, he was so far advanced past all the other mobile quarterbacks in college football. It took a while for other quarterbacks to get to that level. But then you saw Lamar Jackson, right? You saw other guys that are just so far past what a college football quarterback's mobility would normally be that they're special. And then eventually people started to mimic that. And now you have all these RPOs and all these very simple offenses in college football that are just one read, pull, throw. And what that's doing is over time, you do that year after year after year, more programs start to adopt this, and you have less true pro-style quarterbacks that are now coming up through the college ranks and moving on to the NFL. And it's stunting their development. We also see quarterbacks leave early. Anthony Richardson is the prime example of this. That dude had no business going to the NFL. He needed significantly more seasoning at the college level. But they're freak athletes. They can run all over the place. They've got a howitzer for an arm. And NFL GMs start licking their chops. And then they get advice from their agents and their managers, and they say, hey, you come out early, you're going to be a first-round pick. You're going to get this many millions of dollars. Of course, the 21-year-old kid's going to say yes to that. But you're stunting their development. It's like not giving, a child enough calcium for his bones to grow. Maybe it doesn't hurt you when you're 4, but when you're 40 and you have these weak, brittle bones, it's going to hurt you. So when these college quarterbacks who don't get enough seasoning at the college level, they don't get the right coaching, they're not in pro-style offenses, enough of those guys come to the NFL, and the level that they can handle drops. And you're seeing this now across the entire league. So many of these offenses, Cam Ward's kind of a good example of this. It's just very vanilla. It's very basic. And then they make mistakes, and they can't handle the adversity because they haven't overcome adversity in their entire career. They've been handed everything. They've been said yes to their whole lives. So the amount of quarterbacks in the NFL right now who are elite NFL quarterbacks, even average NFL quarterbacks, is very small. Very, very small. Like, I would draw the list at maybe like a CJ Stroud or a Dak Prescott. Honestly, it would be like Josh Allen, Lamar, Mahomes, Burrow, he's hurt, Goff, Stafford, Jalen Hurts, Herbert, Baker, Love, Daniels is hurt, Stroud, Dak. Like, I mean, there's maybe 10 quarterbacks in the whole league that I trust right now to play the position well. The rest of them are all below average guys. They're young, they're mobile, but they don't see everything. They miss coverages. They make terrible reads, terrible throws. The quarterback position, maybe I should throw Darnold in that mix too, because he's obviously renovated his career. Obviously, I'm just kind of, maybe Daniel Jones too, I guess, with Shane Steichen. I would say there's 10 to 12 quarterbacks in the NFL right now that are good to great. Everyone else is below average. And that's not a good outlook for the NFL and for the position. So keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on the quarterback play and just how wide the gap is between the good teams and the bad teams in the NFL. If your quarterback's bad, I don't care what the rest of your roster looks like. Odds are you're not going to cover most weeks. And right now, the favorites are absolutely cooking in college football, in the NFL, excuse me. Okay, let's get to some of the games that were impactful over the weekend. As I pull up my weekly matchup sheet. We'll start with Thursday night. Belt to ass. Chargers over the Vikings. Not really much to get to there. Again, the Vikings have a terrible quarterback situation right now. We don't know if J.J. McCarthy is fully healthy. Carson Wentz is a train wreck. They gain 3.5 yards per play. Minnesota's got a great roster. Kevin O'Connell's a great coach, but you can only do so much. I think Kevin O'Connell right now is being asked to make chicken salad out of chicken shit. I mean, it really is remarkable how bad the Viking quarterback situation is. I have no idea if J.J. McCarthy's going to return next week. I think he is. Minnesota goes to Detroit. Good luck with that. The ugliest game of the week was Miami. Just destroying Atlanta, 34-10. Miami won the box score. Atlanta looked awful. Kirk Cousins looked terrible. Speaking of bad quarterback play, we'll get to that a little bit later in the show. Maybe a little rise and wine for our boy Kirk Cousins, but I don't put the blame fully on him. That offense was a disaster. Zach Robinson had no idea. I mean, there were receivers that didn't know what the routes were. Like, it was vanilla. It was predictable. It was awful. Awful game plan by Zach Robinson. Awful execution by Kirk Cousins. Bijan Robinson's head was in the clouds. Like, it was just, Atlanta was a complete no-show yesterday. Wildest game of the day was in Cincinnati. How about the Jets? Hey, clap it up. Clap it up for Aaron Glenn and the New York Jets getting their first win yesterday against Cincinnati Bengals. They won the box score pretty convincingly. I mean, the offense was humming, 60% success rate. Again, it was the Bengals defense, so I don't want to overlook that because the Steelers also gained over 7 yards per play last Thursday in that win over Cincinnati, or in that loss to Cincinnati, excuse me. So Cincinnati's now won a game they should have lost a game they should have won over the last 2 weeks. Right, they were a 5.5-point dog against Pittsburgh, lost outright, or won outright, and now almost a touchdown favorite against the Jets, lost outright. But you credit Aaron Glenn, you credit Justin Fields, right? I actually respect Justin Fields a lot coming out after the game and being very vulnerable on the podium about how tough of a week it was. He said he was crying in his closet, and you know, football players always have to act tough all the time because it's a tough sport. But I respect Justin for showing us his vulnerable side because that side still exists. These guys are still human, and we criticize them, and we make fun of them, and we joke, but they're humans, and they have bad days, and it was a bad week for Justin Fields. When the owner, shame on Woody Johnson, when the owner comes out and bashes you, then you know it was a bad week. I'm assuming Woody Johnson, hopefully, mea culpa to Justin Fields, gave him a call and said, hey, bud, good job, and I'm behind you, even though he's not the guy long-term. This is who the Jets have. I mean, Tyrod Taylor ain't the guy. That's for damn sure. I would rather have Justin Fields than Tyrod Taylor at this point. New England. Cheers to the New England Patriots. Dominating win over the Browns. Complete win in the box score. The problem for New England, though, again, we've talked about this before with Drake May. Drake May is going to be the MVP runner-up this year. Maybe not runner-up, but in the top 5. He's not going to win the award because Josh Allen, Josh Allen, Mahomes, Baker, right? Like, I think even Daniel Jones, I think these guys have been in the league longer and have earned the MVP status, whereas Drake May in his second year, just not quite there yet. But he'll get there. Again, he's got the goods. The problem is, again, I can poke holes in Drake May's game. I can poke one big hole. He holds on to the ball way too long. He took 6 sacks yesterday. It hasn't cost them yet, even though he did throw a really bad pick early in that game, and I was like, whoa, is this the day that we finally get the Drake May clunker? It's going to cost them a game at some point, probably against Buffalo later in the year, probably in one of their tougher games later in the year when they're competing for the division, and he's going to take a sack, fumble, and the other team's going to win the game, and you're going to be like, Drake May, you're just not there yet. Not to say the talent's not there. It is. Josh McDaniels doing a great job getting out of the way and just letting Drake May be Drake May and giving him plays to succeed and letting him be aggressive and letting him hold on to the ball. I credit that because what we're seeing in Denver is kind of the opposite. But I do think May's not quite there yet. We need to see a little more polish to his game. But nice win for them. Cleveland sucks. Nice win for them over the Browns yesterday. They covered easily. And New England is a contender in the playoff race for sure. I don't think they're going to win the division, but they are an AFC contender, no doubt. Eagles, ho-hum over the Giants. Tough injury for Cam Scatterbo. The Giants are having a snake-bitten year. There's really no way around it. Eagles won the box score. Saquon was fantastic. No turnovers in the game, right? Clean football game for Philly. They looked like an NFC contender. They hammered the Giants where it hurt. They ran it right down their throat. And I was impressed, honestly. I need to see a little more creativity on third downs, right? No A.J. Brown. I think you give him a little bit of a pass, but Philly in general looks like a team that understands, right? They look like they look very much like the Chiefs of last year. They know it's a long road. They've got to make it all the way through December, all the way through January to get to February. They're not going to show you their best stuff in October. I just don't think they are. I think they're going to try to cruise and then peak at the right time. And they looked pretty peak yesterday. Buffalo looked like Buffalo yesterday. Carolina, Andy Dalton, I didn't expect much there. But the Bills, with a pretty dominating win, won the box score, sacked Dalton 7 times, +3 turnover margin. Belt to ass there for the Bills over the Panthers. How about Baltimore? I don't think it was kosher what they did with Lamar Jackson in the injury report. I hope John Harbaugh gets a pretty hefty fine for that because it screwed up my picks. Although, to be fair, the Ravens covered, so it really didn't screw up my picks that much. But I bet the Ravens early in the week thinking, hey, we're going to get to 7 here. I bet in Baltimore -6.5. Hey, we're going to get to 7 here once Lamar hits the screen on Friday or Saturday. And then it hit the screen on Saturday, but it was out, not starting. I don't know how you could say full participant in practice when he's running the scout team. It clear like the rule clearly states, if you are running the scout team, you're limited. Period. End of story. If you're a regular starter, which Lamar Jackson obviously is. The funny thing is, of course, this happened 2 or 3 days after the NBA betting scandal, and everyone was like freaking out, thinking this was a gambling scandal. Every time an NFL team breaks a rule, it's not because of gambling. I saw Albert Breer tweet this. He said, I don't think it has anything to do with gambling, but the Lamar Jackson situation shows how precarious it is that NFL teams are paired with gambling outlets. Albert, wake up, bud. NFL team breaks rule. The headline can't be gambling outlets to blame. Like, it's just, we need to remove ourselves from the everything is fixed, everything is gambler's fault mentality when it comes to NFL teams doing stupid things. They were dumb. You didn't need to play this rope-a-dope game with Lamar Jackson to beat the Bears. You could have said Huntley's playing, and you would have still probably won by 2 scores, because Caleb Williams has a lot of work to do. Although Chicago, to be fair, did gain 6 yards per play. But the penalties, red zone, polish, I just think Caleb is not playing and seeing the field as a high-level quarterback should. A little too freestyle for me. And I think I think Ben Johnson will figure it out, but I don't think they're a playoff team this year. I bet under 8.5 wins. I bet no for the playoffs. They were very fortunate to win that game against Washington, very fortunate to win that game against Vegas. Even with those very fluky wins, I still don't think the Bears reach 9 wins, and I still think they miss the playoffs, because go look at the back half of their schedule. Woof. Nice win for Houston over San Francisco. This was one of my better calls of the week. I was on the Texans. I thought the number was very obvious, right? Despite the fact that San Francisco had a better record significantly. They were winning games. They were putting together good performances. Houston looked awful. Short week against the Seattle blowout. And they were still favored in the game. And they played well. I thought C.J. Stroud was able to kind of take a step forward with his young receiving group. No Nico Collins, no Christian Kirk. Didn't matter. You had Higgins. You had Hutchinson, you had Berrios. Schultz got involved a little bit. Great performance. Good performance by the defense. I think that was the key. I had a feeling the defense would shut down McCaffrey, and that would kind of be the catalyst for Houston to win this game, and that's exactly how it played out. Nice win for the Texans. They are not dead yet in the playoff picture in the AFC. I don't know if they can catch the Colts to win the division, because Indy is like a runaway freight train right now. But Houston's very good. C.J. Stroud is still maybe a tick above average in terms of the quarterback position. And in the NFL right now, that means you're a top 10 quarterback, because there's just not that many average quarterbacks. You're either really good or really bad. And I think the defense is still legit. I think they'll have a better record than Jacksonville. They get a really good spot in a couple of weeks. Jacksonville plays in Vegas this week, and there's a trend that says the week after you play in Vegas, if you go back on the road, which they do, Jacksonville will be at Houston week 10. I think Houston wins that game. Who does Houston have this week? Denver at home. Big game. Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit when we get through our recap. I'm a big fan of this Houston team. I think they are undervalued right now. I think Stroud, and they had a really rough start. I think they'll get Collins back. I think they're going to play better down the stretch. I think that defense is legit, and I think Houston's a team to watch out for. Tampa Bay, kind of ho-hum over New Orleans. They actually got outgained and lost the success rate battle, but Spencer Rattler's a walking turnover. He leads the NFL in turnover-worthy plays heading into yesterday's game, and I don't think it's going to change, because they turned it over 4 times, and he got benched. I don't know if Tyler Shook's going to be any better. I think New Orleans gave you their best puncher's chance early in the season. I think they're going to fall off and be one of those worst bottom 5 kind of teams down the stretch of the season. Nice win for Denver. Again, one of my better calls of the week was laying the 3, maybe like 3.5 with Denver. Dominated Dallas. The defense for the Cowboys is awful. I had a feeling that after Denver got a scare last week by the Giants, that they would come out focused and they would come out, with tempo and throttle up on offense. That's exactly what they did. Bo Nix, I don't love what I see with Bo Nix. I like what I see. I would like to see them play this aggressive in the first half more often. They seem to rely on their defense too much. Their defense is elite. I mean, it's a top 5 unit, maybe even top 2. But they seem to rely on it a little bit too much, where they'll just kind of say, hey, we're just going to win this game 17-10. We don't need Bo Nix to go crazy. Screw that. You got a good quarterback with a good running game. I mean, Dobbins and Harvey, those are, that's a good change of pace. You've got good receivers on the outside, Sutton and Mims and Franklin's coming on, the Oregon kid. Let her rip, man. Let her freaking rip. Win the game 41-10. Why does it have to be 17-10? But a nice win by Denver yesterday. I think they are very live in the AFC. I don't think they're going to win the division. I think the Chiefs will win the division. But as we mentioned a few minutes ago, huge game for them this week on the road at Houston. The Colts are the best team in the NFL right now. Their offense is playing at historic pace. Over 8 yards per play against the Titans yesterday. Won the turnover battle. I mean, it was belt to ass over Tennessee. The Titans defense just kind of looks like they're out of it. And Cam Ward, to be fair, only committed 1 turnover yesterday, but he's also a walking turnover. And the late night game, the game we just watched last night, Green Bay, dominant performance in the second half. They won the yards per play battle. They won the turnover battle. It was a pretty impressive performance from Jordan Love, who looks like, right, that was like a passing of the torch game. All of the talk during the week was about Aaron Rodgers facing his former team. The talk should have been Jordan Love taking the torch from Aaron Rodgers and saying, sorry, Unc, this is my team now. This is my league now. The Packers are legit. I don't know who's going to win the NFC this year. It's a wide open race, but the Packers right now are the only team in the NFC with 1 loss. If the season ended today, they've got that 1 tie, which is a little bit fluky. But if the season ended today, it would be the Green Bay Packers with the number 1 seed. And I think that matters a lot. We mentioned this on last week's show. The Packers need that number 1 seed. If you make a team like Tampa, if you make a team like Detroit, the Rams, indoor teams coming outdoors, southern teams coming north, even Seattle with Darnold, I think the Eagles are the only team that are fully equipped to handle an outdoor game like that at Lambeau in late January. That would be a fantastic NFC Championship game. My guess is it would be, under a field goal number. We'll see what changes over the next, 10 weeks, but I'm guessing that would be a very tight line at Lambeau Field between the Eagles and the Packers. But any other team that that Green Bay faces at home, I think they're a field goal plus favorite, especially a team like Tampa, a team like the Rams. Even though the Rams deserve a lot of respect right now, I think Green Bay, that home field, Lambeau Field, is just it's a tough thing to overcome with that weather and that crowd. We also have the game tonight, of course, the Chiefs and the Commanders. Chiefs are a big favorite in the game. You expect them to win and to continue their push towards the top of the AFC standings. Right now, if the postseason started today, it would be Indy, your number 1 seed, and the Patriots, your number 2 seed, and the Broncos, your number 3 seed, just like we all expected, right? Indy, New England, Denver. No, I think it'll end up Indy, Buffalo, Kansas City. I don't know if the Chiefs will get the number 1 seed, but I do think Kansas City, 4-3 now, probably will get the 5-3 after tonight. There'll be a game back at Denver. When do the Chiefs play Denver? I think it's later in the year. Chiefs Broncos, November 16th in Denver, and then Christmas Day in Kansas City. That's going to be a huge game in Kansas City. And how about the game that's shaken up between the Packers and the Lions on Thanksgiving Day? Oh, man. You want to talk about hyped up Thanksgiving days. That might be the most hyped Thanksgiving Day of all time. What a stretch for Detroit coming up. They should beat Minnesota next week. They should beat Washington in 2 weeks. Then it's Eagles, Giants, Packers. Really tough stretch. Then it's Cowboys, Rams, Steelers, Vikings, Bears. Detroit and Green Bay. Let's see what Green Bay's schedule is. Green Bay plays the Panthers next week. They should win. Then they get the Eagles at home on a Monday night. That's gonna be a really big game. Then they play the Giants, the Vikings, and then the Lions game on Thanksgiving Day, which is just gonna be absolutely huge. My power ratings adjustments this week, as we now spin things forward to the future. I still have Kansas City as my top dog, with tonight pending, of course. And then I've got the Lions 2, Rams, Bills tied for the 3 spot. Eagles, Packers in the top 5. So my top 5 power rating teams right now in the NFL: Chiefs, Lions, Rams, Bills, Eagles, Packers. And of course, there's ties there, so that's why they're all in the top 5. So I have 6 teams currently top 5 in my ratings. I have the Chiefs 8 points better than an average team. I have the Lions 7 points better than an average team. I have the Rams and Bills 6 points better than an average team. I have the Eagles and Packers 5 points better than an average team. My worst team in the NFL right now, power ratings wise, the Tennessee Titans and the New Orleans Saints, especially if they start Tyler Shuck. I have them 9 points worse than an average team. Then Jets, Bengals, Browns, 8 points worse than an average team. Then a big gap. So I really do have a solid bottom 5 right now. My bottom 5 is Cleveland, Cincinnati, Jets, Titans, New Orleans. Solid bottom 5 right now. Raiders and Giants are kind of hovering, but they're above that bottom 5 tier as we now move forward in the NFL. Week 9 predictions. So I think I'm going to be on the Texans at home. They look like they're going to be a short dog. I don't think that number's changed overnight. Let me check, actually. When I was looking last night, the Texans were a very short underdog at home. I think I'm going to be on Houston this week. I do. I don't think the Bo Nix show. Yeah, it's plus 1.5 right now. I don't think the Texans defense is going to be as easy to run on as the Cowboys were yesterday. I think the Broncos offense, that feels like an under game too. Very low total, 39.5. How about that? The Broncos score 44 yesterday, and their total next week against the Texans is 39.5. I think that total tells you what kind of game it's going to be. This is going to be a slobber knocker game, and I think the Texans will win at home, and I think they'll get back on track, and really start to put themselves in playoff positioning. They're kind of hovering right now. They're 3-4, right? They haven't really beaten a good team yet this year. Their best wins over Baltimore without Lamar, and then the Niners without Purdy, and the Titans. Those are the 3 wins this year. So they need a win over a good team who's playing well to kind of show themselves, hey, listen, we're in this race. The Steelers host the Colts. I wanted to bet Indy minus 2.5. It's now 3. Not as valuable, right? Colts a 3-point road favorite. Steelers defense looks awful. Aaron Rodgers is not going to be the reason why the Steelers missed the playoffs. It's going to be the defense. Their defense looked terrible last night. The Niners are a 2.5-point road favorite at the Giants. My guess is if Purdy gets upgraded, I'm guessing that closes 3 or higher. But I don't know if Purdy's going to I don't know if Purdy's going to play. I mean, the turf toe is a lingering injury. And if it's the Niners' injury luck is so bad, I mean, I honestly would not be surprised if Brock Purdy continues to miss time. Chiefs-Bills this week, fun game. Line's a pick 'em kind of right now. Bills are a slight 1-point home dog. I would guess if the Chiefs win tonight, if they cover tonight, I would guess that line stays Kansas City favored. If it's tight, or if, God forbid, the Chiefs lose, then Buffalo will flip to a favorite. So you can bet that look-ahead line throughout the day based on how you feel Kansas City's performance is going to go tonight. If Kansas City wins by 30, maybe it moves up to 2 or 2.5. I don't think we get to 3. I think at 3, that's where the money would significantly come in on Buffalo. All right, so those are my early NFL Week 9 predictions.